Yo, what's up, party people? How y'all doing? Happy Monday to you. Turn down this noise in the background for you. Hopefully you're all properly hypnotized and fooled into believing that I'm entertaining or something. You sit and chill with me for the next couple of hours as I make noise. Are there audio issues, like coming from this? Paul had OBS running and no sound, but when he came to OhmLab and restarted OBS, got sound. Hey, somebody order a whiskey? It's been a minute. Whiskey. How you doing, brother? Happy Monday to you. We just started. Good timing. All right, let's see who's here. Saf, you're here first. How you doing, homie? Good weekend? Saffron is asking if anyone got the Eventide plugins on sale over the week. Paul is here. Tuning in from sunny Maryland. It's currently overcast and working its way from light to dark. It was gorgeous this morning, though. Beautiful sunrise, like super stormy black clouds on one side of the sky, and like gorgeous heavenly, like big bright rays on the other side. You guys paying attention to this waveform here? It's quite incredible. Zoom on up for you. Cardio Party is here. Liv, what's up? How you doing? Happy Monday. Oh, you're playing piano to it. This is nice. Whiskey's been leveling up production skills. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Kai is here. How you doing, man? Yeah, we could do a little bit. Oh, I know it says no feedback here, but you know what? I start this from a template, so, and then I update it. So today is limited. We'll do a little bit. Happy to give you some feedback. Whiskey says, lost my job for a month and started a new one last week. Well, I'm glad you landed on your feet. Hope everything is all right over there. What is the meter? This is a goniometer. So it's showing you something similar to. It's kind of a guy. Well, it's not exactly a gon. This is the gon. Zoom in on this one too. This one shows you the shape of the sound, and this one shows you the position of the sound. They're like cousins. It is a visualizer, but it does provide you pretty spot on like shape representation. It's pretty cool stuff. Whiskey, sure, yeah. Do a little for you too. Yeah, the geometric patterning is really awesome. You know, with the sine wave, it's just represented as a perfect circle, and those two do line up well here between the goni and the, what is this? This is the, it's called the, gosh, spectrometer. The name is eluding me right now. Sometimes it helps if I kind of look aimlessly out the window. But name's not coming to me, so I'll circle back. It is neat. It's good stuff. So Kai and Whiskey, are you guys... I know, I would love to know this word. Are you guys looking for feedback right this moment? Because if so, we can kick off with a little bit of feedback for you too. dip into some cartoon sounds. I ended up bouncing like several hundred cartoon sounds last week, so. Yeah, profanity is fine. Nothing racial. That's good. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen this put to good use in shows, and you see the same tool in various reactor ensembles out there as well. You kind of see the same kind of thing happening. It's just gorgeous, right? Yeah, post it in the public feedback. That's good. Or here. It's not like we're doing a whole bunch today, so that's fine. And let's see what Kai's up to. Whiskies. Yeah, very pretty. Alright, so we've got something new from Whiskey, which has not happened in some time. I feel like we've stumbled into something lucky here. Okay. Really quick, for those that want to recreate this at home, it's pretty simple. The Euclidean Melodies ensemble that you see me use quite a bit, this is just being kind of washed out in the background here. And the wind chimes that you see me use quite a bit. Those are providing the melodic bits. These two things. And then there's two instances of metaphysical function. They're both noisy. And they sound like this. Pretty darn minimal, really. But together, they sound quite lush and lovely. These are generators. So yeah, here, you know what? You guys see these all the time, but you may not know exactly how they work. So let me just run through this really quick, and then we'll listen to what Whiskey's put up here for us. So there's a few different things generating sound. First, there's this little panel down here in the bottom left-hand corner, and this is actually a sampler. This is playing in a forward direction right now. We could speed that up and make it play even faster, or slow it way down, or we could play it in reverse. And the amp isn't on right now. If it was, you could hear all these changes. Turn up this amp. We'll turn off this modulation here. It's being modulated by the pitch 1 fine controller, which is a built-in modulation built off of this stuff up here. Well, this is an oscillator bank up here. This is an oscillator bank of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waveforms. These first 3 being sine waves, this next one being an adjustable ramp, the next one being an adjustable pulse width randomized, and the last one being noise. This is another oscillator bank over here where it says B, and it is we'll work right from left here. This is a pulse width adjustable random, pulse width adjustable, pulse width, where, right? Pulse width adjustable ramp, 2 sine waves, and then there's a noise and a Geiger mode, which is like just the needly bits. So you can get all sorts of different types of textures built in. And then there's this mixing panel here, which allows you to modulate any of these things through pitch 1 or 2, which is mappable to MIDI or audio output. And then you've got a couple of different ways to mix these banks together, A plus B and A times B. That's oscillator bank A and oscillator bank B. The sample is then layered in, kind of played out through these. There's a filter, a distortion panel, an HQ, or an EQ. I spent the whole weekend building forts and playing superhero. HQ on the brain. A spin module, which is pretty cool. It's a delay, a delay spatializer kind of thing. It was very ahead of its time. A resicord, which has a whole bunch of modes in which it can run in. So this is like feedback, tuned feedback. And then a reverb panel, which actually gives you a whole bunch of options between very small and very big and pre and post processing. That's the majority of this thing. So if I was to turn off the playhead here, these things would persist because they're generators. I'm going to turn off the wind chimes. And these tiny little yellow boxes that you see in here, some of them are moving around. These are all automation. So modulation automation. You write these in manually just by clicking record, which is pushing a box down here, and then just simply clicking and dragging up and down on one of these columns, and then clicking it again. And then you just push the start and stop button after that. Make it all happen. So very, very like early reactor, like somewhat archaic kind of programming by today's standards. But we can get really fun with this whole thing. And you can kind of play it like an instrument once you turn on MIDI. So I'll just turn on MIDI for fun here. Gritty stuff. Stuff is wild, right? It's great. Great. It's like some of the best stuff in the earlier reactor library, honestly. Uh, oh. Paul found a new synth toy called Osiris. Nice. Nice find. Kai, excellent. You are uploading as well. Okay, so we're going to listen to a couple things, one from Whiskey and one from Kai. Oh, even a link to the ROM files. All right, so something new from Whiskey. Parental guidance advised. If you're at work, turn down your speakers a little bit, perhaps. Some people aren't necessarily ready for whiskey this early in the. It's called Eclipse.
Pass me the mic and I'll show you what meeting with death is. Give me like a scythe in my hand when I'm clenching. You can place a million foes on my road, that's a million flows.
This
When I
is
start
different.
redirected, any of ascending. Anybody gets it when I'm in a zone. A million tokes and a million stogies for every don in the scene I could smoke. Million bars on my phone, even with a million bars on my phone. My battery dies every time I rehearse it. Dig 'em out the graves and murk and rehearse it. Backing up slow, they don't want it with the wordsmith. If I end the play, they know that it's curtain. I'll be in the east where the beast be lurking. Put man under my shoe, you're a vermin. So I don't wanna talk about you, I don't wanna talk about them. I just wanna talk about me. Man, I already know it's the east, man, I'm out with a flow, man. I don't wanna talk about you, I don't wanna talk about them. I just wanna talk about me. Man, I already know it's the east, man, I'm out with a flow, man. So shut up, I don't wanna hear no chat. Half of the scene be whack. When I start letting off flow, see many lose hope, cause they will get severed like a wetters in my bag, and it might be in it. Ain't friends with nobody in the scene, and I don't move timid. Shades with the blades and the waist like Riddick, and my heart moves dark, that's cold in the spirit. I'm from you, man, I'm anti-social, man. Know your shit bars, but I don't know you. Still talking my zoo with the boy, them local. That's heat for a sheet, so know that I smoke you. Show anybody in the scene, you can get head top without the beam. If it ain't me, it's somebody in the team, and somebody's now a body that be rocking and floating up the stream. So why would I talk about you? Why would I talk about them? I don't wanna talk about Spengs. Eastman, I'm man, still there on the set with my friends in the engine. Why would I talk about you? Why would I talk about them? I don't wanna talk about Spengs. Eastman, I'm man, still there on the set with my friends in the ends. I don't wanna clash nobody that's dead. I don't wanna collab cause that's dead. If it ain't dubs or stats, it's a shed cause you'll fool the shot from the dubs and you're dead. We be on set and the scene gets stressed. Red take the rave cause the whole scene's dead. Gun fingers when I'm letting off lead. I be licking off heads for the joke and the jest. Better than him and I'm better than them. Better than you and I'm better than your friends. Better than your favourite MC's whole team and dreams. Ring 'em all and we'll see who's left. Mr. I so lazy, suit so hazy. Beef I'm gravy, you can never phase me. Never kind of spit out, I be giving them a fagey. E to the killer, Max Pagey. I ain't gonna talk about you, I ain't gonna talk about him. I ain't gonna talk about her. Both be puss, I live fuck from the word. Eastman a man on the gram, I'm dirt. I ain't gonna talk about you, I ain't gonna talk about him. I ain't gonna talk about her. Cause I'm up for the words, up for the words. Send for me please, if you wanna war with E. Send for me please, think you're a top MC. Your clock's one on the beat. Send for me please, send for me please. Still skinny, still raw to your girlfriends with the Jimmy.
All right, so first, it's cool. It's cool to hear something completely different from you. Also, just good to hear you in general again. I think we've missed you around here. And congrats on the new gig. This is great. I love the use of the stereo field. A little bit more air on that hit. I'd love for there to be like a little bit of saturation on the reverb and for there to be a little less low and presence in the reverb in general on that as well. 125, the vocals definitely need to be a bit more on top of the mix here. There were a couple of spots where it just kind of fell right below the music, and I think it needs to stay up on top of the music, and it's going to probably take a little bit of adjusting to put that in front of your sound design at all times, but that's probably where you need to go. Vocals in general, I think saturate with overdrive just to target or just to generate a little extra harmonics up top. I target like 8K or so frequency wise. And you may not even have to drive it at all. You may not have to drive or like add any drive to it whatsoever. Just a little pass through might help. Little less lows in the reverb. Noticed it in a couple of spots. It felt just a little bit thick. Other than that, I just want to hear this blown up. I just want to hear it mastered and kind of get the full wraparound whiskey effect. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's like it just needs just a little bit more definition. And I think that if you're targeting 8K, you're going to get a little bit more crispness around the like articulation um, of the more like rapidly delivered lyrics. That's it. Also, when you do have just a little bit more air on the hit up here, it might make you feel like you want a little bit more atmosphere in your track, but I think you've probably got enough. But if you were to modulate that just a little bit over time and disclose maybe in just like 2 or 3 kind of choice spots in the whole mix, just a little bit more of the higher frequency in that kind of soup back there, I think that'd be good. The plug-in fresh air is goated. I think that's all I got for you on this one. Kai, it's been a minute for you too. You are welcome, Whiskey. How's the new gig treating you? Good stuff? Kai is saying, mine's about 2 hours of work. Haven't mixed the drums at all, so they're a bit loud. Thank you for the heads up. Appreciate it. Good to hear it, Whiskey. Good to hear it. All right, this one's called Lose Control. This art still gets me. This kid looking up at that thing. First take on a melodic dubstep.
All night, walking in the rain, never felt right. Till you came along and got me so high. You go on to get me through. I knew that's how you do. Sometimes I sit back and watch as you go. Sometimes I wait cause my mind's saying no. But you got me hooked from my head to my toes. Yeah, when I'm with you, I wanna lose control.
Sometimes I sit back and watch as you go. Sometimes I wait cause my mind's saying no. But you got me hooked from my head to my toes.
Yeah, when I'm with you, I wanna lose control.
All night, walking in the rain, never felt right. Till you came along and got me so high. You go on to get me through. I knew that's how you do.
Yeah, there's not a lot wrong here, Kai. Gabriel, welcome in. How you doing, Gabriel? All right, there's a few things that I noticed. The highs are a little peaky in the super saw on the sides. Like the presence might not need to be that high in the first place, and you can round off just a little bit of those highs, and it'll probably feel a little bit better being kind of creamy instead of crispy out there anyway. I think it would really allow the crispiness that you've got in your snare and your kick, transient, whatnot, a little bit more. It's kind of stand out a bit more. Nice fill choice at 130. Like I kind of want a little bit more resonance in the drums, like in the toms, on that, but also just a general statement. I'm not sure that you need to drive it to this loudness, like this level of perceived loudness. I think that you can kind of tame that just slightly, and it would probably feel a little bit better. And I'm talking like it's probably a difference of just a couple dB in your limiter. Yeah, those are the big ones. Listening back in a couple of spots, besides like just kind of wanting a little bit more dynamic range in this. Like in this Respect the gazelle. Thank you, Kate Kakashi. This transition right here, it'd be really cool if there was a little bit more reveal in the frequency disclosure, right? Like how it twists up here. There's a little bit there, but I think like if you were just to pick even just one track in that stack of sounds, and do a little filter play, I think it'd feel really, really nice. And I think these fills, like they might need like, or not need, but they might like appreciate something like a little suck back transition effect right at the time of transition. I think I was kind of feeling that about the other Bigger Tom run too. But yeah, just tiny little embellishments. This thing sounds really good. It's very full. Very good stuff. 16-month streak. Thank you, Kate Kashi. Appreciate you. Yeah, bro, I've always got a little bit of time for you. And yeah, doing all right over here. You are welcome, Kai. Kate Kashi is more of a slurp back effect kind of guy. Kaimari? You are up. Rochambeau says the kick and snare need to smack some more, though they feel great outside of the drop, but are getting lost. Otherwise, this style calls for a really hard smacking kick and snare. Yeah, I do wonder how much more they stand out with those saws tamed a little bit. But yeah, I feel that. Kimati Music is saying the song is still work in progress. Just finished the structure. Still got to work on the mix. Shaman is the vocalist. I made the beat. Sweet. Yo, Skinhead89, how you doing? I have not hit yours already. Did you already have one in here? I wasn't expecting to do a feedback stream, but I'm fine with doing some more. Just the last one in the queue from the second post you had the other day. I'm happy to scroll up to it. Kimati, let's listen to this thing. This one's called Confess. Just above whiskey. Sweet. Okay, cool. Thank you. Liking what I'm hearing so far here.
I'm a
Okay, Kamadi, this is absolutely great. What's the plan for today's stream? Zenkai, welcome in, by the way. Happy Monday to you. There is a Discord link. There you go. And I'm happy to do a little bit more feedback. We're probably going to dip into some sound design after that. I probably going to make some cartoon sounds, I think, is the idea for today. We'll see. We'll see. I bounced several hundred of them last week. We'll see what I'm feeling. Okay, so this starts to nail things right out the gate. Right out the gate. So first, the intro, like you've actually given a little bit of time and space for things to be introduced and develop, which I feel is just sorely missed in so many beats that try to be atmospheric right up front. Lots of really good decisions too, by the way. Not just like ideas for your arrangement, but the stopping points for the modulation depth or the saturation being deployed. Like it's all really thoughtfully done. And some really good original stuff and original choices as well. So really solid palette that you've built. How much of the sound design is yours? Really good stuff. Really good use of noise and texture throughout as well. Roger that, Zenkai. All right, cool. So everything is your sound design. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Like and that surprises me. Not like there's no surprise at all in that because it all fits together so well, right? So you're obviously very comfortable carving out space for sounds and creating sounds that fit a specific intention and space within the mix. So good stuff there. I do have some tiny little things for you. They're a bit more on the advanced side of the mixing feedback just because I feel like this is already there. Like this is already radio quality. But there are some things that can kind of push it past that, right? Which is like, in my opinion, the difference between putting out a track and putting out something really great. And then the more you can kind of extrapolate this type of granular finishing touch to other things in future productions, the better. One, at 147, automate the upward compression on that sound to really accentuate the feeling of something opening up in the mix, right? Actually give it some kind of audible change over the time in the second half of the sound being delivered, and it'll have this kind of emotional impact. And as soon as you do it, you'll recognize the sound and the effect. 131, really nice modulation rate control here. I would challenge you to find a couple of spots where you can actually dip down in rate as well. So in the couple of spots where you've got this modulation rate like on display, they're absolutely perfect. They're absolutely tastefully done and perfect. It'd be cool to hear you employ that same kind of a thing like on the subtle modulation of a bass synth, for instance, like right before it drops, like if you were to slow down the tremolo that you've got going on it or something like some it's kind of playing with the sense of time. 238, I think get a little bit more of the low end out of that sound to help get it up on top more. And 308, just a little ear candy thing, some saturation swells on that 808 in some really select spots, I think would make it even more tasty. I really like the simplicity. Like I'm a less is more kind of a guy in general. But I think that there are a few spots where you could actually feel like, oh, that 808 really just wants to like roar right there. That's what it really wants to do. So I would find a couple of spots where you can just kind of like drive some harmonics. And it doesn't have to be anything like super aggressive or anything like that. But man, you've got a minimal palette at points where you can really, really like lean in and hear some details on that 808, and it's nice. It'd be really good to treat us. Like just treat us to a little special treat. Little swell in there. All right, let's see what people are saying. Keikashi noticing the little details. A little bit of Eastern scale in there. Saffron is asking for a quick reminder of how to do a feedback swell. We'll do that. There's different ways. Keikashi says there's a high frequency on that flute sound that I think could be cut or attenuated at least. Yeah, something responsive would be best. And like Lau, welcome in. Happy Monday. Saying have said it before, we'll say it again. Your feedback is just freaking next level. So usable feedback based on knowledge. You help a lot of us out, my man. Really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys give me a reason to take a break for a couple hours at a time, right? Rochambeau. Plus, I get to continue to help. It is kind of hard having to say no to so many people, after saying yes to so many people for so many years for like one-on-one training and mentorship, So it's nice to be able to crank out big old batches of producers instead of one at a time, So cheers to all of you soaking it all up. All right, Rochambeau says killer sound design and buzzing saw-like bass throughout. Not sure about the goal with this track, but if you're looking to get this played out by a DJ in a club setting, it's a bit too avant-garde for that. Either way, though, this is a creative smasher. Well done. I don't know. It really depends on the DJ, I think, because what you bookend a track like this with. Like you could end a set, you could start a set. I don't know. I do hear you, but also, I think people really, really appreciate the originality of, artistically made stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I hope that the feedback jives with you and that you're able to make it even better. Dave's here. Britboy in the chat says, loved it. Gabro, thank you, sir. Yeah, well, it helps when you actually have music, like that you actually get, what am I trying to say? It helps a lot to actually DJ, to know how to make music for DJs. That's what I'm trying to say. It's Monday. Sometimes my mouth just Mondays for hours at a time. Skinhead89 is saying, when will you do an IRL? Depends on how many of you are coming to Portland. Trem is here. Trem Ties, welcome in, homie. Hope you're doing well over there. Trem is saying, if I worked as a DJ, I'd end my set with something that would make the majority leave and just play some death metal. Zirconium is here. What's up, homie? Happy Monday. Oh, you'd stay for the flogging Molly, though. Of course. I mean, you've got taste, right? Got taste. All right. Speaking of great. Oh, the other thing that I would toss out there before I walk away from this track is the other thing I had was just ear candy in general, and the idea of an open mix like this where sound design is constantly kind of on display. You should feel like you have carte blanche to use small stinger and transition style effects in places where there are no transitions taking place, right? The intention of a stinger is for the emotional impact, right? Whether it be a cheesy sitcom guitar slide or a jump scare or whatever, right? And these things translate immediately when you think about a sound in relation to a moving picture, right? All of those things fit. But when you really stop and think about what makes something truly immersive or cinematic in quality, right? Oftentimes for a piece like this, it's those tiny little embellishments that fall outside of the traditional kind of arrangement structure paradigm, right? Where we believe that a transition sound effect goes where a transition exists, right? But as soon as you put something like that outside of that boundary, now all of a sudden this is part of a greater story. There's a greater landscape, right? It's the same exact phenomenon that happens when you replace a general ambience or atmosphere with something like a field recording. Now all of a sudden there's a time and a place and a location involved. So there's way more happening. Like you are like you're in it and you're in it on a different level. So I would say kind of play around with that a little bit in regards to ear candy and just kind of finding ways to draw people in slightly different ways. So let's do this. This one's from Gebra. Always delivers the top shelf stuff. This one's called Time Is Over. Okay, this is solid. I love the grit that you've got on that synth hit right there at the very beginning and that feeling of restraint. I think it could increase even more if there was more change over time volume automation wise with that ARP as it's coming in and allowing that hit to kind of be just a little bit more dominant in the very beginning. And I think it would really kind of give us just a little bit more tension. At 32 seconds, more audible sub drop, please. Like it's a tasteful choice, and the timing and all of that is good. The sound is good. Just saturate it with either some very transparent overdrive or really low level bit crush and drive it like 1.5 to 3 decibels and target like 600 or so. Nothing too bright, just enough to get the oof kind of really rumbling. At 110, some upward volume surges on these elements to really kind of give it this like whoa, whoa, every single time, right? And each one, the peak is like maybe half a dB above where the last one was, right? So it's like just slowly kind of building up, and it's building up in each hit. 148, I feel like the choir feels a little bit left here, and it could totally be centered. I think perhaps the mix is so big at this point with so many different players involved that you might be feeling like it's hard to find a spot. It might be a good indicator that the mix actually needs to be slimmed a little bit. I feel like at 149, the ARP feels out of place. Like we've kind of moved away from the ARP driven, synth driven motif, and now we're into this like truly majestic and way over the top organic choir and strings, and maybe the ARP just doesn't need to be there at all once all of this other stuff really comes into play. At 220, you could totally lose some of the mid-range competitive stuff here. There's got to be a couple of elements that are popping off in the same exact place as all of these high energy elements that have been introduced, and we just straight up remove them from the mix, and your mix will probably feel a lot more clear for it. At 233, you can kind of feel it too. You kind of feel like the mix wants less busyness because as you're driving to that fever pitch energy, you're also losing all of the separation of content. Like the separation of sounds is kind of gone at that point. You can't, it's kind of a melange, right? You can't really identify all of the individual sounds anymore. Right. So when it gets to that point, it's usually a pretty good indicator that you can slim things down, number of players wise. Let's say we should take a look at the chat and see what's going on. Hey, Danny's here. What's up? Everybody follow I Am Imagine It. Let's see, where is the top of this? Where is the top? People have been talking while this has been playing. Tell you what. Okay, there it is. Flogging Molly. Kakashi says Einstein would take issue to this song title. Tremtice has got a question about drum loops. I'll come back to that in just a second. Men Like Loud loves this. Ooh, conjuring some inspiration here from Men Like Loud. The shadower of death finally reaching the end destination where he faces the evil monster that destroyed the whole nation. Zirconium says, I love that, honestly. Yeah, there's a couple of comments about mix and ARP and stuff, but yeah, this is really just over the top good. And he says, bro, do you even sound design in here? Some days. When my ears bleed, that's when I know my mix is top notch. Gebro, I hope this all vibes with you, homie, and helps you make it even better. All right, let's stop posting some stuff. And we'll listen to all of these, and then we'll make some sounds. We'll make some stuff. And right before we get to the next one, we've got where is it? Hang tight. I'm trying to find this track. This one. This one. Why won't you let me go back there? There it is. Okay, so this one's from Cake Kashi. Cake Kashi. Not to be confused with Kakashi. All right, so Kate Kashi says, only if we get time, which we do. Spent way too long agonizing over whether or not I should keep the complex harmonies in the main line or not. The harmonies modulate because keys don't always work, but I'm still not sure. I can throw out a demo of it without the harmony for reference, but if it helps, I'm curious to hear what others think. I've heard it too many times to tell how dissonant it really is anymore. Okay, so here we go. This one is called She Is the Cold.
Her tears are the rivers that keep me afloat. Her eyes are the razors that pierce through my soul. She says I'm too much when I know I'm not enough. If life is the winter, then she is the cold. Now
Yeah, this is good. Like this track travels a bit. Um, there's something going on with the drums in the mix. There's parts where it feels kind of flat. There's parts where it feels pretty open, and I feel like maybe it's the bass, or maybe it's what's happening with the bass and the guitar at the same time with it. Not quite sure. I think I need to listen through this a couple more times to really start to hone in on it. I did see Blackberries in here, so he might have. Oh, he is saying some stuff, but I'll get through this first and we'll go back to that. All right, cool. So, right out the gates, the vocal intro is really good. Like this is a good intro, right? And then the guitar comes in. It feels a little bit flat, a little, yeah, a little flat compared to right because the vocals are like they're big and they're on top and they're very spread, and then the guitar doesn't feel like it kind of lives up to that delivery. Um, 2 minutes in, vocals could use a little processing. Excuse me, and I'm wondering if maybe you just kind of start that chorus treatment a little bit early there. Not quite sure. 250, the section feels like you know what you want from it. What preceded it, not so much. And I guess what I'm saying in that is that everything sounds like it has a very intentional thing happening. And it all sounds good. Like everything is pretty darn balanced in that moment. And in the other sections of the song, there is still like some of the elements are not quite poking through as much, which makes me feel like, I mean, it's a combination of things. Some of it is volume balance, right? Um, so some of it is like prioritizing one sound over another in the mix, but I think there's something else here. I think it might come back to the bass. Um, yeah, that's the big one for me. Let's see what everyone else is saying in the chat here. Needs more. Trem says this feels a little confused mix wise. I'm not getting any hits or any rest. A bit hard to tell when it's time. Blackberry says you would have to have bad intonation on the guitar and different gauge guitar strings and drum skins with duct tape over the holes to get that authentic sound. For the punk tone sound. Saf says wants the guitar up front a little bit more. Trem agrees with that. Yeah, I think everyone is liking this one. It's just little mixed things. Blackberry says the guitar tone just doesn't sound like it's pushing air. A little short verb, like 0.6 millisecond decay time, and heavily biased to the low end might give it that Marshall in a club sound. It just sounds like an amp emulator. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Trem is basically saying the same thing, a little bit more life and some more bottom guitar. And Blackberry says the drums just didn't sound like it was a uniform kit. It didn't seem like the drums were all in the same room as one, and almost as if they were different verbs on the drums and cymbals. It's fine to have different verbs for different drum elements, provided they also feed into a common secondary verb that transitions all the sounds together. I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Keikashi, I would go through and just kind of listen to them in isolation and then again in the greater mix and see if you can start to suss out. And you know what? Honestly, the back to basics, like the very first thing you do when you're troubleshooting that kind of stuff is unplug things. Undo, 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 undo. And I will drop these. Kind sir, right here. All right. Bexty, let's do this. Hmm. You're Fexty. All right, Zenkai, let's do this. This is great art. This one's called Isolation. All right, so Fexty, this is good. I would say that the arrangement of stuff is pretty good. So now it's just it's a matter of focusing on how things are being delivered, really. So a little more expressive delivery on the strings. Anytime you're going to produce anything with strings, synth strings especially, you got to kind of give them the volume curves and stuff that you want them to have. Otherwise, they all just kind of feel like strings, strings, right? And what you want is like strings, right? And there's like all this kind of like nuanced movement and stuff. So depending upon what plugins you're using, I saw GarageBand here in the name. So I'm assuming that you have access to the basic overdrive plugin that's used in GarageBand and Logic. And this is going to be your new best friend. It's in the distortion folder in your effects. And you're going to use it all over the place. We're not going to distort things with it. We're not going to make it sound all gritty and weird, but we're going to make everything sound better with it. That crash cymbal in your kit needs a higher volume setting. A few things to focus on. Just in general, EQ, panning, and saturation. I would go through your project one track at a time. And on each track, you're going to do like 3 different things. EQ, and you're just going to try to remove the frequencies that you don't actually need. There's probably some low frequencies in some of those sounds that you don't need, some high frequencies that you don't need. Don't start making a whole bunch of choices, but try and find the bookends for your sound, the bottom and the top frequency control. The first place to start with the EQ. Panning. The drums and the bass can stay in the center, and it does sound like some stuff has been moved a little bit, but try and find an individual space for each thing in the mix, panning wise, and then saturation. If you start going through your mix and any of the sounds that sound a little bit less than you feel they should be sounding, and I say less in a very general sense, like you feel like they are lacking in what potential you feel they really do have somewhere, right? Like you feel like when you hear this type of sound in other tracks, they sound more full or more upfront. Well, saturation can help you with that. So put that on there, and then use the frequency knob to dial in the actual sound. So you may not actually use the drive very much over here, but you will use the tone, the frequency knob over here. And that's going to help you kind of dial in the color of the sound, whether it's bright or whether it's darker. And it's also going to help generate a bit more information for you. So your arrangement is solid and the music is fun. So now it really is just getting down to mixing. Some ways in which you could help the delivery of sounds from a sampler or a synth is to really get in there with your MIDI notes and your piano roll and change up the velocity from one note to another, the note length, and then the timing of the note as well. Having everything right on the grid kind of works against you. So you kind of want to make those things a bit more organic or kind of humanize them in a way. So go through, spend some time on stuff like that in your stuff, in your projects, and bring us another project on Friday that we can listen to. We'll give you some more good feedback. See what everyone else is saying. Only been producing this year. This is good progress for only doing that this year because this is the 3rd month of the year. So good on ya. Primarily use GarageBand. Excellent. Second song. So it's kind of awful compared to the newest ones. Yeah, you know what? You're going to have that same exact feeling for a really long time. It's a good feeling. That's the right feeling, right? Because it means that you're learning. So Blackberry says the piano has so much of the low mids sucked out of it that it is not really providing much in the way of tonal support. In fact, the entire mix sounds very transient oriented in order to hear things, when I think it's more of a question of rebalancing the complementary elements in the mid-range, which should give it a more immersive depth of field to play panning. Tremtai says, a little thing I'd suggest, stuff that isn't bass or supposed to give you a rumble, you'd cut some lows. Yep, so more EQ stuff. Yeah, this is all good feedback. And the chat will continue to fill your head with good ideas. Let's see who is next. Lau is next. All right, this one is called Invasion. Hey, it's Whip. I haven't seen a Whip link yet. Ooh, freshy. 36 minutes ago.
Loud, you crazy.
Here's what I got for you. The intro's flipping amazing. Luffs are a little hot. Great transition moment before the subs really hit. And when they do, you realize just how much of the waveform is actually just sub presence. So take the sub down a few decibels and roll up the low end cutoff of that sub and let it sit around 45 hertz. But keep the decibel per octave at about 12 hertz. I'll show you what that looks like. It looks like this. That's what I'm talking about. So right now, yours is probably a bit more like maybe something like this. And what I'm saying is, hey, let's loosen the grip on that part, but we'll tighten the grip up here. And that change right there is probably just going to make this whole thing butter. I don't think much else needs to really happen in this mix. I did say the Foley stuff, like at that little wind up at the end. You listen to just that last couple seconds here. That little ratchet. Those tiny little bits, those are the ones that can stand to use a little bit of extra treatment. And what I would do is I would use, again, just plain saturation, and I would target pretty high. Personally, I'd probably set that at 10K and set the drive at like 3.5 dB, and then probably bring the output down a few decibels to kind of adjust for level compensation. So there you go. Anybody else have anything from the chat? Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking... All right, cool. Yeah, yep. Everybody likes it. I like it. Onward. Make those couple of changes. That's it. I'm Flav. Welcome in. There's my Discord. All right, Savvy. You're up. All You Want Is Me. What this one's called. And like Lau, you are welcome.
I'm overworking till the sundown. Don't see the light inside my head now. I need to see you in my window. In a whisper. All I really want is
Reach out for my hand, I'll take it slow. You will always be my bitch, that's what you should know. You know I'll never leave your head, not even when I'm underground. When I'm dead, you heard what I said, you will follow my command. I wouldn't be surprised if you followed me down to the underworld. You understand that where we live in, there got no love. The only love you have is for me, from me to me, all me. You know all you really want is me. 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 Yeah. All you really want is me. Yeah. You couldn't bear the fact that you would miss me up. Hide your truth from the world, you would sell my sacrifice. You would miss me cause you care. You're a good girl in a bad world. So should you be angry at me or angry at everyone else? At least you hanging from a tree. They couldn't let you breathe, but with me, I can set you free.
Okay, I don't really want stuff changed on this. Like, the luffs are a little bit high, but the rawness of this track, like, there's nothing that I can't hear in it. I don't feel like, yeah, I feel like I don't want to really push back against the artistic choices in this one. Anybody? Anyone feel like they have something that they want changed in this thing? Because I'm kind of liking the feeling and the decisions. Trem says, not sure what your plan is with this vocal because I can't really tell what the emotion is. I think that's kind of what I like about it. It's got that flat affect to it, but at the same time, there's this kind of rawness to the aesthetic of the track itself feels so raw. Blackberry says, I usually advocate for making the lead vocals louder in a mix. In this instance, I could sit back a little bit, maybe a couple of dB overall, just so that backing track has a little more impact. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. And other than that, I'm not sure that I would really touch this thing. The loudness is a bit much. But I also really like I appreciate that we can hear all of the mouth noises, for instance. So yeah, don't change too much on this. Zirconium is here with Love V6. Let's hear what Love V6 sounds like.
Start in 5 seconds. Get ready to live a unique experience.
This is great. Get the luffs down a little bit. Like everything else in this, I love the textures, that kind of distant effect, biasing the keys towards the wet balance. All of it feels really nice. There's some really good juxtaposition stuff. I'm loving the art that goes with it. I couldn't stop looking at the art while I was listening. Several different things that I really like about this. Yeah, we need bass scroll back, don't we, Andromia? Yeah. But yeah, luffs. Like if you bring down the luffs, then I think that that this thing is pretty darn golden. Luffs at +6. Yeah, I think that's really the only thing we got to do. What I would say about something like this that does have this kind of volume treatment, when I don't find anything to be the matter in the mix, oftentimes, and I say this with the most love, it comes down to a confidence thing. And I think that you should have confidence in your sounds. Like they are good at any volume. Turn down the luffs and trust that people are going to turn it up to this level that you appreciate. What I got to say. There's some really tasty stuff, by the way. All right, we've got one more. Flexvi? How am I supposed to say this? I am Flava. Oh yeah, you bet. I am Flava. Okay, cool. All right, cool. We got it. Let's do this.
If you try, I never put your hand on. If you try,
All right. I have flavor. This lead synth that could be moved to a side. I can already tell that there's probably going to be some vocal elements and stuff in the music just because of the way that the intro is popping. So I would say move it to the side right away. And just leave it there. At 33 seconds, I think the vocals just need to be up in general. Even if we're just working with chops, I think that they still kind of need to be up a little bit more in this style. That lead synth felt much more present than how the vocals came in. So I'd make sure that when the vocals do come in, that they sit just above it. At 113, I like, just as a general statement, I would go through the sounds in this track or in this project track by track and make sure that you're removing any unnecessary low frequencies. You can do it the same with the high frequencies, but you can actually actively hear some thickness in the mix that just doesn't need to be there, and that's usually just a buildup of these kind of lower frequencies. That said, there's also a sub that's kind of crushing things, and there's a couple of things that need to happen. One, that thing should probably be rolled up to about 50 hertz with like a 12 dB per octave curve, and also then I would wrangle it, like, just to make sure that it's not bleeding into these other frequencies. You've already got sounds there. You've got bass, you've got synths, you've got vocals, all that stuff takes up space up here. Don't let the subs encroach upon it. And when you do that, everything starts to pop. Everything in your mix really starts to pop. So that's going to be the biggest thing you can do for this. Blackberry, you take care. Trem, oh, the sub high cut scared me for a bit. I thought you were about to ruin this man's track. Oh. Yeah, it is a learning curve with all the plugins. Just keep bringing stuff back, right? Every Friday we dedicate to feedback, and I highly recommend getting in early and dropping your links early because they are popular streams. Yeah, and we can help you get there in regards to your signal flow and how you're using your compressors and all that kind of stuff. One track at a time, homie. Just keep bringing stuff through, and we'll help giving you good advice as well. Angel, welcome in. What am I gonna do here, you guys? I'm supposed to probably make some stuff today. I'm not sure exactly what, but what are we gonna make? I know I said some cartoon sounds. Maybe I just need to listen to some of the stuff that I made last week to get back into it. But it was a lot. It was a lot. Let's get into some of it, and maybe I'll get into the mood for it, and maybe I won't, and we'll end up just doing a challenge together or something, because we don't have that much time left here. Classic cartoon sounds, right? Dun, 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 dun. Some boings. Oh, someone was asking how we make boings, and then I ended up making boings outside of the stream. So I'll tell you how I made them. You take a tiny little piece of metal. It can be anything. Seriously, anything. And you set it on the side of a table. Pretend that this is the side of the table. You're going to put a piece of metal hanging over the side of the table. Flick it. Piece of metal goes boing. Record that. Bring it in here. It shifted a few different ways. Modulate it a little bit. And you get boings. Bonks. Bottle tops. If you're unsure of how to get good bottle top sounds, lick your finger, put it in the top of that bottle, and Now do it with your thumb. Now do it with your other fingers that don't fit there so well. And you start to get all the different sounds. $10 bonus points and a cookie to whoever can remind me of the name of the thing that you swing around in the air and you get the buzz effect, because that's what that is. I don't know if I'm in the mood to make more cartoon sounds, to be perfectly fair and honest. Yeah, I don't know if I really want to make any today. Let's do something else. Tremties, take care. Let's do something else entirely. Rains Phoenix is here. Welcome in, homie. Maybe I'll do a little challenge. Should we just do a little challenge? Anybody else want to do one with me? Let's pick a picture together. Oh, Angel just put something in the queue. Angel, are you still here? We could do one more and then do a little challenge. If anyone's feeling it. Go pick a... You got one more? Do one more. How about this? How about this? Let's pick a couple of these. Let's pick a couple of these. Oh, man. Some of these are just too great. God, look at this. What even is this? Right? Whirly tube, also known as lasso d'amore, corruga tube, musical tube, or belugal resonator. Science world. Wow. It's a really weird. Ooh. Something sparse. Oh, this one looks all like, I don't know, what is this? Like the tree of life or something like that? Maybe we should make something for this. Spacey stuff. Ooh, something AI maybe? It's AI talk. We do something highly digital? Oh gosh, these guys. Yeah, let's make something. What is this blue crystal thing? That's pretty cool. I do kind of like this weird glass box in the middle of nowhere too. Yep, I've tried and used ChatGTP a whole bunch actually. I haven't been talking about AI as much on streams lately because I don't want to let anything slip for announcements. This one's really strange. Look at the stuff here. Like this looks like an ocean floor or something. It's wild stuff. Hey, Andremia, that's awesome. I'm glad. I love hearing how people are using the new AI tools to help them build something really cool. Because that's really all this is about this point forward, I feel. Yeah, okay, so I don't know what I really want to do is my problem. I might make this swampy thing. This looks kind of interesting to me. You guys have those days where you're not quite sure? Oh, this one looks really nice too. I know you do. That's why I put these pictures up here in the first place. You realize your music fits very well with the Blade Runner universe. Yeah, absolutely it does. It absolutely. 100%. I think that just like Stanley Kubrick type stuff in general also is just like, and there is a Blade Runner series coming. Yeah, exactly. And I've just got so many different ideas when I look at these pictures. Let's make one. Something really abstract. This one's really wild. Possible project coming up. That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear, Andremia. I like hearing that. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll... Oh, wait, we don't want to print that. We'll actually just open that. Over here. All right, cool. So now we've got an image to work with. And we can make something. So let's make something. Anybody else want to use this image while I work? We'll upload together at the end. Do a little, since we don't have a ton of time, let's start with a little something generative in the background. We had people asking about metaphysical functions. Oh man, we had people asking about, reminded me that I had a question pending from Trem. Let me answer that. Question is, so the question I had earlier, what are the experiences, or what are your experiences with sampled drum loops? Because I have a thing that has kind of a stock music-ish vibe, but the backbone is an atomic rooster loop that I found online, and I don't want to get sued if I sell this. Yeah, exactly. I have quite a bit of experience. And are you just wondering like how you could kind of play with it a little bit or what? And then also, Saf had a question about building up feedback swells. And there's a lot of ways to do it, Saf, but one of the easiest ways to do it is with delay. Because you can grab pretty much any sound and create a swell with it simply by turning up the feedback parameter, right? And if you have a low rate for your delay, then it's going to happen very quickly, right? So you don't want like a half note delay, obviously. You want more of like a 16th note delay or something like that, something a bit quicker. And then it starts to stack upon itself and escalate in volume as it continues to go through the delay, and that loop continues to ramp up in volume, and that's how you get your swell. So that's the easiest way and answer your question. All right, so this is like this is like air, sea, land all in one because it's got like these aquatic things happening. It's got stuff flying. It's got stuff growing upside down. It's got some interesting things here. Let's see what we can get up to. Just a dialogue sample going through some distortion. Alright, let's also design some kind of like pad to go with this or something. Something kind of low. Ooh, actually something kind of floaty and maybe even almost flute-like up here would be kind of nice. Okay, so maybe we'll play with that. So we've got a slightly softer attack on this thing. Actually, let's do a pluck, but we'll just make this like a 2.5 second pluck. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Okay, we'll put a little vibrato into that too. So we'll just say... This is feeling a little aquatic, huh? Indremi is asking, hey, when can you speak of the things you cannot speak of? In less than 1 month. NAMM will be happening. And that same week, NAB is happening. And when those things are happening, we will start talking about some things that we have not been able to talk about for a lot of months now. And some of it will have to do with AI, and some of it will not. Some of it will have to do with music, and some of it will not. It's going to be really, really good. Gazelle Works. Ooh. Ooh. I like Gazelle Works. It's almost too easy to make good stuff when you have random stuff like this playing in the background, right? NAB is in Vegas this year. NAM is in LA. It's randomness. You guys ever just like create something random just so you can have random stuff playing in the background? And he says, I think NAB is right before the 5 fingers, the path of no return, as they call it. I think I might have a case of the Mondays. Yeah, Dremia, that's great to hear. And he's saying, new thing is trying, just start with some kind of random experiment to set the mood, let it play in the background. Sometimes it ends in a song. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's true, Paul. Case of the Mondays. Well, my case of the Mondays is usually something like I make a whole bunch of stuff and I'm not quite sure what I want. I I didn't really make anything over the weekend, but I got to teach the kiddo about some stuff that he was interested in learning about. And you know what he requested to learn about? The difference between bumpers and stingers. Like this kid, he wanted to make his own thing. You want to see what a 6-year-old does? Check this out. Check this out. No, we don't need to close this. All right, so this is a 6-year-old's reinterpretation of the Audio Design Desk logo. Bumper on one of these YouTube edits here. Keep in mind, 6-year-old, so it's it's pretty minimal here. Ah, right, right. Kid's gonna be a freaking genius. Oh, nice, Paul. Right, Heidi? Right? Yeah, right. 6-year-old. He's going to get an early run at getting himself published. He was like, I want to have music time with you today, Papa, like in the studio, but I want to make something that's actually just going to be in a movie or a show, okay? I'm like, oh, man. And then he's like that. Yeah, right. Well, the tools probably won't even be at his fingertips in 20 years. It'll probably be at like his brain synapse level. Oh, Elf, welcome in. Happy Monday to you. All right, well, I know I don't normally do this too often, but I'm actually going to cut early today because I don't really have a whole lot of direction. And I'm feeling like I might be making better use of my time writing some copy and stuff right now. Back into sound design later today when the inspiration strikes. So on that note, off to the browser to see who's streaming right now. Go find something good to go watch. Dun, 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 dun. Earth Modular Society. I wonder what they're up. It's getting started. Shoes music. Let's go say hi to Shoes. Let's just listen to some radio today, huh? Nothing wrong with that. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on Hump Day in 2 days' time, and we'll do something fun together. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll do something. You guys stay inspired out there until I see you next, and take care of yourselves. Big love. Peace out.